underdeveloped right ear and moderate to severe hearing loss. I have had 7 reconstructive surgeries at Seattle Children's Hospital. My first surgery was during the summer between kindergarten and 1st grade, and my last surgery was just during sophomore year. When I first stepped foot into the hospital, I was only 5 years old and had no idea of the path laid out for me. My parents had set up an appointment to talk about the various procedures I could undergo, and I remember being dumbstruck by how my ear doctor talked to me. She made direct eye contact with me, and she answered every single one of my questions. She showed me pictures of the different options I might be able to take, and I was surprised because she talked to me and not my parents. I could have had a synthetic ear made of plastic, but I decided to have a rib cartilage technique, which is taking cartilage from your rib cage and skin grafts to reconstruct an ear. She valued what I had to say as much as what my parents said. That moment has been etched into my mind because it was one of the first times I felt that my voice truly mattered. I was capable of being taken seriously no matter how young I was. It was as if the 20-foot steel wall representing the age gap between me, my parents, and my doctor had crumbled into non-existence. It was one of the first times I felt truly trusted with adult responsibility. I cherished, even relished in that feeling, especially as a young child who felt as if her deepest, most intricate thoughts would be taken with a grain of salt by most adults in the room. I was surprised to find that not everyone had such wonderful experiences at the doctor's. My grandma, Farmar, which means grandma in Swedish, her experiences at the doctor's with my aunt has been completely different. Certain doctors will directly interact with her, but others will only talk to my aunt. It's as if they believe she's incapable of understanding the information, despite it being her own health. I know my grandma suffers with short-term memory loss, but that doesn't mean that she's a snowflake. She's as strong as a horse and as smart as a cookie and as stubborn as any Swede can get. I know she gets frustrated when she can't remember things, and the way the doctors interact with her is a sick reminder of that. These have the ability to hinder conversations, and I remember feeling disgusted when I learned that this was how my grandma felt. How could I feel such warmth and inspiration when going to the doctors when this is what she had to go through? In this case, the age gap was the 20-foot steel wall that divided her from the doctor and my aunt. These little, nevertheless significant things have the ability to divide us based on age. It's something I've noticed ever since I was little, but have never took the time to really think about. We reduce each other based on our ages. The silent generation, the baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, Generation Z, each of these generations are divided based on our ages. They have the ability to hinder conversations and deeply affect how we're able to be heard. My silent generation grandma is not a passive, slow-witted, deeply crippled, lifeless core of an individual simply because she is old, but that is how she's treated by the doctors. Her voice is like diluted water that no one pays attention to. And I, a Generation Z, am not a foolish, oversensitive, tech-dependent, depressed wreck of an individual simply because I'm a teenager, but I'm believed to be so. My voice is like the murky sewage water that no one wants to sift through until it's cleaned itself up. These harmful labels are able to affect us in deep ways, and the saturation of these terms in the media are extremely harmful. And some examples in BuzzFeed, for example, are 26 things that millennials can't stop talking about that Gen Z doesn't care about at all. Or, sorry millennials, only baby boomers can get 18 out of 20 on this quiz. They use these labels as a form of entertainment to attract an audience. This might appear all fun and games, but this truly has the ability to divide people, and it's obviously uplifting one generation while alienating the other. Some more examples from reliable newspapers are the New York Times saying how to spot a member of Generation Z, and the Wall Street Journal calling Gen Z the most anxious generation goes to work. Although these articles might not have the intention of creating this divide, they ultimately isolate certain individuals. I'm not reprimanding the idea that certain generations might have specific characteristics. I know that features of myself, my decisiveness, willingness, and unwillingness to do things, comes from the fact that I live in an era where I have the ability to make these choices, and make these choices based on my professional life. My grandma didn't have that option. She had to choose between nurse, secretary, or teacher. But that doesn't make her weaker than me. In fact, that's what makes her stronger than me in so many ways. There simply needs to be a more conscious interpretation of these labels because they're able to isolate people from one another. We've all heard the sayings, the baby boomers ruined everything, or Gen X will fix everything. Although the baby boomers did cause financial problems and climate change, that does not mean that they purposefully did it. They had no idea of the consequences of their actions at the time. And Gen Z can't fix everything. Not all the political, social, and economic problems riddled within our society today. Yes, they might know them at a younger age due to their interconnected technology, but that doesn't mean that they are more obligated or are needed to be more politically active in the world compared to others. For change to happen, everyone, no matter their age, has to be on board and willing to work towards change. These labels pigeonhole people, making their age the characterization of their personality. Terms like millennials stop generations from collaborating with each other and stop individuals from creating relationships with each other. One of my favorite things is listening to Famor, my mom, and my dad talk about their lives, about how they were as kids and what they've learned as adults, how they think and what they believe. So I encourage you to listen. Listen to people of all ages, listen to their stories, and come to realize that the divide between young and old is not as large as generational labels depict. Listen to break down the 20-foot steel wall that people assume age gaps create. Listen to the young boy no one notices, the old woman that you see at the bus stop every day, and the teenage girl who loves to listen herself.